We're less than 2 weeks into 2026, and as predicted, it's already a shit show. But JoJo from Jerz is here. She's going to help us make sense of it all and bring a little light to the situation. I'm Mallory Hagan.
And I'm Maggie Gelson Burnett. This is Pretty Furious.
Ding, 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 ding. Collective sigh. Collective sigh.
Deep breath.
Deep breath. How was your break?
Well, Mallory, I guess in case our listeners don't know yet, hey, I'm pregnant.
Preggers.
I'm preggers. So that's kind of the big thing for me right now. I'm doing a lot of mouth breathing. I am burping all the time. So yeah, if you hear any of that on our recordings moving forward, no, you didn't. That's the latest and greatest for me. Okay. We're surviving out here.
We are very excited. I'm so happy that the world knows now so that we can talk about all the things.
Mallory was like the first person I told. It's like 4 weeks, 2 days pregnant.
And I was so excited, bringing another little Pretty Furious gal into the mix, which is nice. Yes. But just be forewarned, Pretty Furious gang, do not say to Maggie, just wait until...
I will punch you in the jugular if you do that. There's a special place in hell for every just waiter.
It is true. When I was pregnant, I kept seeing like all these videos of women being like, stop telling me to just wait. Just wait till you're 8 months pregnant. Just wait till the baby's here. Just wait till they're 2 years old. And then, of course, I became hyper aware of how many people say, just wait. And now that my baby is here, I'm like, it's enough. What's happening right now is enough. I don't need to wait. Thank you so much.
It's so bizarre. What a fucking weird ass thing to say. Like, you know, it makes me want to look at those people and be like, you know that you said that out loud, right? Like that, like that. What a bizarre thing to say to somebody who's.
And it's always with the like, it's gonna be worse. It's never like, wait, you're gonna get more sleep and it's gonna be okay. Like, no, it's like, just wait till they're throwing shit at the walls.
And you're like,
thanks.
Cool, can't wait. Like, amazing. Thanks so much.
Amazing. Oh man. Well, we have had a crazy news week. Crazy start to the year, which I'm sure, based on our conversations, has you feeling like, holy shit, parenting in this climate is such a wild thing to do. So yeah, the headlines, Maggie.
Oh, the headlines, Mallory.
Yeah.
The headlines.
I guess we can't be pretty furious without being pretty furious. So let's start with that. Let's start with the good.
Perfect. We'll start with the good.
What's your product?
I've got I'm not going to shut up about this fucking product for weeks on end. So my best friend Kylie for Christmas.
Tell me about it.
She got me this Josie Moran whipped argan oil body butter. Okay. So she went to Sephora and she asked the gal, she goes, listen, my friend's pregnant. What's like the best body butter I could get for her? I've used the Josie Moran brand before, but it's been many years. Like I got it once for Christmas, like maybe when I was like 17 from one of my aunts. So I want to just make it clear. I got this on December 19th and this is where we're at. We have used
oh my God,
a healthy amount of this jar. Yeah, it's insane.
Are you okay? Why are you so dry?
It's not even that I'm dry. It's that like, dude, the smell
it just
of this
smells so good.
It smells divine. I mean, oh my God, it's crack. And it's the Bohemian fig scent. And they have little like refillable things. Yeah, it smells divine. So that is my product. I won't shut up about it. Does it prevent any kind of like, you know, stretch marks are genetic, everybody. Does it prevent any of that? No fucking clue. Have no idea. It moisturizes the shit out of your skin though, and we love that. And it smells incredible, and it doesn't leave you feeling all like slithery and gross. So that's my product.
I struggle. I really, being the Irish American that I am, should probably use a lot more lotion than I do. I don't like the feeling of lotion normally, or creams, or it's sensory, surely.
Neurodivergent? Yeah,
What?
you are. Anyway, carrying
I don't
on.
know. Well, one sensation I do like is my product. I went to Ulta here recently and found, I don't know what I was doing. I never just like peruse a Sephora or Ulta. I go in, I get what I need, and I get out. Otherwise, I've spent my life savings.
For sure.
And so I was perusing. But this I'm actually really excited that I found. So Peter Thomas Roth has a water drench ice facial cooling mist. And being that I'm up multiple times in a night, I've been waking up feeling like what happened to me. And this is like changing my life. It's got a hyaluronic acid, ice wake caffeine. So I wake up and I'm like, what's going on? And I just like spray this on my face and it's got a minty
Like
cooling. Oh my God, it's amazing. And it makes your skin tight.
Oh,
Favorite.
I feel like I am gonna love that for like a summer birth.
You'd love it right now.
Yeah,
I guess. I don't know. Can you use it? I'm not a skincare person, so I didn't spend too much time focused on that while I was pregnant. But anyway, this thing right here, I actually don't know what it cost. I don't even remember, but whatever it is, I'll pay it. That's how I feel about this. I'll be using this for the next 5 years at minimum, given that I will have from baby to toddler to small human. So that is my product, and I'm obsessed with it.
Okay, I'm going to be trying it. Yeah.
Okay.
Say less.
All right.
You sold me.
Okay. Pretty now. Furious.
Yeah, definitely furious. So my headline this week comes from Rolling Stone. This is talking about this week. MAGA's response to ICE killing woman in Minneapolis is she deserved it. So obviously Minneapolis, Portland have happened this week. My brother and his wife live in Minneapolis, so immediately texted them kind of getting a gauge of like, well, A, safety wise, are they good? But secondly, getting a gauge on kind of like what's the state of things in Minneapolis right now. Minneapolis public schools closed schools for the rest of the week due to the ICE presence. ICE immediately after the shooting then went to a high school down the road, and there's footage of them using tear gas on high school students. So they also pulled out a couple of teachers while they were there. So I think this week, there's so many things to be pissed off about in regards to all of this, but I think the number one thing for me has been obviously an innocent person lost their life. It was senseless. That there's no reason this should have happened. No world in which this should have happened. So there's that, obviously. Another piece of this being that what we know to be true about MAGA is that these people will take an instance that happens like this, something that is devastating to people, to everybody, should be devastating to everybody. This should make everybody angry and sad and feel some type of way, but particularly folks on the left. This was a queer woman who had a child. This is someone who a lot of people identify with. They take it and they immediately say, contrary to every ounce of evidence that we have, even the videos, even the body cam footage, even everything, and they say something to the effect of, well, she shouldn't have been acting that way with a federal officer. She shouldn't have been fill in the blank.
No, they called her a domestic terrorist.
And
a paid agitator.
This woman was trying to drive her car away from ICE agents, and got shot in the face. What the fuck are we talking about? And people are saying she was trying to run over the agent. If you've watched the video, there are multiple angles of it now available. I highly encourage you to watch it in slow motion. It's very difficult, obviously, to watch, but there is no agitation happening here from her side of things. These are people who are have no idea how to regulate themselves in instances of high tension, which is why ICE agents should not be allowed to have guns. They should not be allowed to carry. This is just another instance where so much of this, every part of it was preventable. Every part of it is something that we don't have to see. And yet here we are. and
Well,
then
and it shouldn't be
Portland 2 days
normalized.
later.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So,
I think that the part of it that is all of it is awful. Let's start there. But having the vice president of the United States say that she created this tragedy for herself,
God, what a spineless piece of shit. Like, I can't.
I think what's most damning is that this administration and all the commentary around it coming from them, first of all, is like, so they're gaslighting the American people.
Absolutely.
The comments on Facebook and in news articles from conservatives and right-wing people who are saying like, she should, if you think that ICE agents are bad, then why would you act that way? Well, the footage that's recently come out was just her saying like, hey, I'm not mad, I'm just trying to drive away. Like, it is so clear that this woman was just driving away, trying to remove herself from the situation, and shot dead in cold blood. And the mental gymnastics trying to justify state sanctioned killing. Not just this, but what's happened in Portland. In fact, today before we hopped on, when I was putting on my makeup, I saw a video of a woman who was or is a DoorDash driver. She was being trailed by ICE. So she went into the home of the person she was delivering food to, and they locked her in because ICE didn't have a warrant. And ICE was surrounding the house, like, to get this woman just trying to drive for DoorDash. So just the normalization of this level of violence and fear that they are aiming to instill in Americans. And let's just be clear, it's not just people who are immigrants. These are American citizens. This woman who died was a white woman.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yep.
Anyway,
yeah,
that's just so frustrating.
It's absurd. Anybody who still affiliates with MAGA or the right, even at this point, I'm just like, there is no moral justification at all. And there were plenty of chances, of course, to disaffiliate from this institution, from these people. But if this didn't do it for you,
I mean, if the Epstein files didn't do it for him.
Yeah, exactly. May God have mercy on your soul. Like, holy shit.
I saw a creator who was sort of making light. It's a little bit comedic, but the point stands that this creator made a video about MAGA supporters drawing a line in the sand, and then there's like a Trump that like dances across the line. Then they're like, oh, okay, just kidding, and they just draw another one, and they just keep drawing lines in the sand of what they're going to accept from him and the people around him. It's just wild. My headline's not quite as serious, but it is serious. It's not life or death, but I guess it could be when you come down to policy. So my headline comes from NPR, and it is: a Supreme Court ruling could bring historic drop in Black representation in Congress. And so the U.S. Supreme Court is weighing a major Voting Rights Act case that's tied to Louisiana's congressional map. So this could drastically reduce the number of Black members of the U.S. House of Representatives. And it all has to do with Section 2 of the Voting Rights. So they are obviously a conservative majority, and they've signaled that they may weaken those Section 2 protections, which have helped to ensure that minority voters can, elect candidates of their choice, specifically in places like the South in Alabama. So this is something that's at risk. And as someone who lives in a state that is wildly gerrymandered, I find it very alarming that we could be furthering the control, I guess, by the Republican Party. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I know that I've said this term just ad nauseum on this podcast. It's all insane. It should make you alarmed. It should make you, like, I think one thing I want to stress constantly to people is, like, because I think this has happened to me, is like, don't lose the humanity within this. Like, 2025 was such a year of like people just like disassociating and like completely losing touch with their own feelings about these things. And I want to encourage everybody to like really try to tap into that this year, because we're going to need it. This is like, things will, in my opinion and in the opinion of historians, who are the people we should be listening to. Let's be clear right now, are historians. This will get worse before it gets better. And so what we are seeing right now will be something that is, these things of gerrymandering, these trying to take away rights from large groups of people. These are things that these ICE killings, these are all things that are going to continue to be normalized under this administration. So like, I think Heather Cox Richardson, she is kind of our Bible right now. And like, she is somebody who, if you are not watching her videos every day, I highly encourage you to do that. Follow her on Substack. Letters from an American has been the thing I've been reading the last, several months. And she's putting a lot of work into delivering news in a way that is, factual, it has evidence backing it, and gives you kind of like tangible things to do moving forward.
And the historical context of how we've gotten here as
exactly.
well.
Yeah.
She points everything back to history, which is so important. Yeah. It's really difficult to remain in the human sometimes, as you know. Both of us are kind of chronically online. My job requires that I am. So I find that some days I'm just like, oh, anyway, another headline, getting it posted, getting the things packaged, and right. It is really important that we remember that we don't have to be here. This is not normal. And what we're experiencing is scary. And we're at they'll ask you to deny your eyes and ears. And we've seen that this past week. I mean, there is video evidence, as there has been many times before. George Floyd comes to mind.
George Floyd.
Video evidence, and they continue to say, that's not what you're seeing. That's not what's happening. That's not there. And it can make you feel crazy after a while.
Yeah, totally.
But, we have a guest today who I think, while she is extremely outspoken and funny and profane sometimes, she has a real handle. She has a real handle on how serious it is. How serious it is that we are in this position as a nation and as a democracy. She's a mom. She is from New Jersey, and she's Lebanese American. I have gotten a chance to get to know her over this last year. She's created The Siren, which is a media network in order to uplift other creators online. She's got a podcast and a Substack that's called Are You Fucking Kidding Me? And I think that's just how we all feel about most things right now. So we're going to welcome in Joanne Carducci, otherwise known as JoJo from Jerz. All right, welcome in, Joe. We're so excited to have you here with your infamous from our chats Dunkin' Donuts.
Oh, yes. Hi.
Yeah, Dunkin'.
I love Dunkin'.
I can't tell you how many times in one of our chats you've been like, I'm almost there. I'm just in the line at Dunkin' Donuts.
Yep. I guess I do love me some Dunkin', and I was almost late because the guy at this Dunkin', he wanted to be chatty, and I'm like, I don't have time to be chatty. Just give me my drink. He's like, why do you put white cheddar on your sandwich? I'm like, because it ups the game, because it's real cheese and changes everything. Yeah. And so, yes. Hi.
Hi. We are wondering, is there a headline that has made you pretty furious this week?
My God, I think all of us with what happened to Renee Nicole Good. I mean, I was just at therapy, full confession, and I unpacked a lot of this, but it's her murder. It's the gaslighting. It's the lying. It's don't believe your own eyes. It's the Orwellian propagandizing of an innocent 37-year-old mother's life being taken violently. And there's a new video out right now. I don't know if you've seen it. From they got the police officer. Oh, that fucker. Sorry if I can swear. The ICE officer's
please
phone. I don't know how they got his phone, but he calls her a bitch after he murders her. So that's, furious. I don't even know, right? Like, cause there's so much to unpack, because there's anger and there's frustration and there's anxiety and there's disgust, but there's also just heartbreak, just absolute heartbreak. And that's the one that changed the trajectory of history. I think, that's the headline for me.
Yeah. Let's hope it changes the trajectory. We've seen so many really egregious acts of violence coming out of this administration, from ICE, from Border Patrol. There was the other shooting this past week in Portland, Oregon. we're being made to normalize violence and normalize state sanctioned violence, and I think that's the part that, you know, I told you when I asked if you would come on that of course we want to talk about politics. That's how we always lead our podcast, but what we really wanted to get into the meat and potatoes with you about is being a parent. And I'm a bonus mom and a new mom to a newborn, and Maggie's getting ready to bring a little girl into the world.
Yay.
And
God willing.
Yeah, and we know that you've got, you know, Leo and Abby, and so just wanted to get started really with like, how does this feel from a parental perspective, from being a mom?
I'm gonna try not to ugly cry because if you know me, right, Mallory, you know that I'm a crier.
You are more than welcome to, by the way.
But I only have paper towel. Oh no, I have my Dunkin' napkins. Look at that. Always prepared.
Jojo runs on Duncan.
Hi Duncan, call me. I want one of
the siren is looking for a partnership.
right. I want one of those tracksuits that they gave Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. That's all I want. That's all I want. My girlfriends and I literally think that we want the tracksuits, and they should do commercials with us. But in all seriousness, my kids are my why, and they have always been my why for all of this, because the original reason that I decided to even speak up or speak out regularly was because in 2016 I took my kids to vote with me like I always had, and before we went into the voting place I started crying in the car. My son was 11. Wait, no, hold on. 7. They were 7 and 4. And I started crying in the car before we went in. And I said, we're about to go make history. We're about to go vote for the woman who is going to be the first female president-elect. They didn't know what any of that meant. All they knew was mom was emotional in a happy way. And all they knew is they were going to get their Dove chocolates because that's what they get. Which is weird because we make M&Ms in our town, but they hand out Dove chocolates. But so we went in, we cast our ballot. I cried some more. I put them to bed that night, and I told them that when they woke up in the morning, that I would be, I'd have all this incredible news that that right would have prevailed, right? That the good guy would have won, because I fundamentally believed that. And my son for sure understood superhero terminology. You know what I mean? He understood the Marvel universe, and that eventually, even if it doesn't always feel like that, the good guy does prevail at the end. And I was naive and foolish, I guess, enough, optimistic enough, trusting enough in our country to believe that I was going to wake them up with that news. And we all know how that happened and how that went. And so when my son woke up and found me in the bathroom crying on the floor with my, because I didn't sleep. Most of us probably didn't sleep. I tried to gather myself so that he didn't know, but it was impossible. And all he said, he just looked at me. I remember he's standing in the hallway and he looked at me and he said, "How did this happen? You said the bad guy wouldn't win." And as a mom, I didn't have an answer from my son. Everything I had ever taught my kids to be, everything I had ever tried to instill in them, every single righteous, ideology, everything about inclusion and empathy and kindness and compassion and justice and treating people with dignity. It was as if someone just said, none of that is true to my children. And as a mom, right? Like nobody else gets to tell my kids that. I don't want them to grow up to be bad people. I don't want them to believe that you get rewarded for bad behavior. And I remember in that moment, I was on the bathroom floor. My son asked me a question I couldn't answer. And all I knew was that I needed to do whatever it took to make that wrong right. I didn't know what that looked like. I still don't know what it looks like. I just knew I had to do something and I couldn't be silent. So when we got to 2020 and we got to Joe Biden winning, and it felt like we had righted that wrong. And I knew the fight wasn't over, but at least I could look at my children and say, we made a mistake and we corrected it. And that's what life is about. We make mistakes and we go back and we fix them. So to be back here now, it feels, I was just at therapy, like I said. And what I was trying to express to my therapist was it feels like I'm constantly chasing something I can't catch. And that something is justice, right? That something is righteousness. That something is fairness and dignity and kindness and responsibility and accountability. And every time it's like, it feels like it's within our grasp. something else happens that tells us it's not. And as a mom, it all comes back down to that, because I want my kids both to inherit a world better than the one I did, but to build that world too, because they're good people, they're decent people, they're just people. And it feels sometimes like you're swimming up against a tsunami. And you just have to keep swimming, because your kids are the ones who will drown if you don't. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. Sorry.
Yeah, totally. No, that makes total sense. And I think I'm not yet a parent, but I think I speak for,
Yes, you are.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes, you
yeah,
are.
yeah, it's becoming very real that, in a few short months there will be a person that I have to also, care for. And so, I mean, I think I speak for all parents when I say like that. I think that is the fight of parents, especially on the left, right? Is to keep hope when this world kind of continuously batters you down, and is continuously saying, nope, you can't have this. So how are you keeping the hope right now? How are you keeping that hope alive in your children too?
Honestly, it's one day at a time, but you find those things that fill your cup, and you find those things that fill theirs. And, for us, it's Monopoly games, which can go on for days. Although last time I beat them in 2 days, because I got Boardwalk and Park Place within like 2 turns. So whatever. I don't play nice. I play to win. So whatever it is that fills your cup. But honestly, it is conversations. I swear that sounds so cheesy, but I come to this reconciliation about everything, that the antidote to all of this is connectedness to each other. Like, that's the thing. It's community, right? Like, it's one conversation at a time of somebody who says, I see you and you're not alone. That's it, right? Like, there's so much power in that, and that's why they want so much to take it away from us. That's why they try so hard to divide us and separate us and pit us against each other. I mean, we can't have 2 versions of the same video, right? Like, they need us to have these different realities because they don't want us to ever come together. And ultimately, there are more things that bond us than divide. They don't want us to know that, but that's what gives me hope every single day. Like I know that people like you guys are out there, holding truth to power, having conversations, uplifting, democracy and justice. And when I see, marches like No Kings, and I'm surrounded by people who are not going to be quiet, that gives me hope. It's one small act of defiance and opposition at a time that exists and is embodied by everyday people, not necessarily from the leaders and the politicians and the lawmakers. It's the people that give me the most hope, because I think that we are so resilient, and I think that we are so strong and so fiercely independent. So honestly, fundamentally, not all people, but I still believe we are humane. There's a capacity for cruelty that I never expected, but I don't think that that is the predominant feature of the American people. Whether that's naive or not, I don't know, and I don't care. I'm going to die on that hill, but it's this kind of thing that gives me hope. And so I'm never going to let go of that. I'm going to hold on to it with both hands for as long as I can.
You said something about, when you decided to speak up and to speak out. And I'm wondering if you remember the very first time that you went viral or something of yours really exploded, and what that felt like.
Yeah. So, well, full disclosure also, I didn't know what Twitter was. I thought Twitter was where Kim Kardashian logged in her bowel movements. I swear to God, I was a Facebook girl, right? Like I'm like 900 years old. So I cut my teeth on Facebook. That's where you went. And so when my Facebook feed was full of Trumpers, because that's where I live, I was like, oh, this isn't going to work. And so I went to Twitter. I was like, okay, let's see how many bowel movements Kim Kardashian had today. And I didn't know what to do. So I just wanted to go tell Donald Trump he had old balls, right? Like, that's literally what I wanted to do. So my first couple of tweets were just going to Donald Trump's account. He would tweet something and being like, I'm sorry you have to see yourself naked. Honestly. Swear to God. And then I was like, yes. And then I was like, I did it. And it felt really good and cathartic. And then little by little, I started finding accounts. Again, it's this idea of feeling seen, right? Like, when you feel alone, they really can do anything. But when you feel like you're part of something and that there are others out there that are like you, you feel like, oh, I got a crew now. And I found accounts that just I don't know, they resonated with me, and it made me feel empowered and emboldened. And every single day, it made me feel a little bit more, in my own voice. and like full disclosure, this is a whole nother topic for probably a different podcast, but I was coming out of, well, I was in the midst of at that time, an abusive marriage that needed to end or I was going to end. And I'd lost myself in that process. And I was suicidal and all the things. Again, longer story for a longer day. But I thought I was over. And this whole process actually, in the strangest way, helped me find my voice again, and my autonomy, and who I was, because I started to come back online with this righteous indignation and this fury and this determination to right this wrong. And eventually the empowerment that I got from a community that made me feel seen and part of something gave me the strength to leave an abusive marriage, which I can attribute to Donald Trump's awfulness in the most effed up way, right? Like Donald Trump's awfulness saved my life because he made me feel like I had something. My children were obviously something that I needed to fight for, but against. He gave me a bully to fight against, and that gave me strength. And so anyway, long answer, sorry, to your question. The first time that I ever went viral was, of course, a response to Donald Trump. I don't know if you guys remember this, but during the first season of this shit show, he gave a speech about 9/11, and he said during that speech that he was at ground zero removing rubble, and that he was in the dirt removing rubble. And I lived in New York City. My ex-husband worked at Windows on the World. My roommate worked at Windows on the World. I knew many people who perished that day. I remember hearing him brag about his building being the tallest in Lower Manhattan that day. And it lit a fire under my ass that I have never, ever felt before, because I was like, how dare you? How dare you? I used to live near a firehouse in Lower Manhattan, right near Christopher Street. And every single fireman from that firehouse died that day. Every single one died. And for that coward to stand there and say that he was in the rubble, clearing rubble, when I knew that wasn't true, I was just so angry. I wanted to scream. So I was sitting down on the couch across from my son, who was older at that time, maybe 9 probably, and very dialed in. And I was like, I'm so mad. He didn't do this thing. And I just want to scream. And he's like, well, why don't you make a joke out of it? Maybe that'll make it better, Mom. Maybe that'll make you feel better. Say something funny. And I was like, huh. Well, that's really good advice, because do you guys remember Sharpiegate, where they started creating all these memes where they were drawing like Sharpie Donald Trump taller than Barack Obama, and like Sharpieing him on like battlefields, and they were Sharpieing him in space, and because the whole hurricane map thing with the Sharpie had just happened. So there were all these people who had all these memes at the ready making fun of him. And so I decided to kind of tap into that. And I was like, little known fact, Donald Trump was the first person to circumnavigate the globe solo. Did you guys know that? It's part of lost Trump history. And this was my response to him lying about 9/11, and I didn't say it in the tweet. I just made this tweet up about asking people to include their historical stories about the things that Donald Trump did, like whether or not he was the first person on the moon, or the first woman to win in a golden the breaststroke or whatever. And George Conway, who's my friend, he saw it and he picked it up and he retweeted it, and he was the big star of Twitter at the time. And this damn thing, this trended for 2 days. I was in People magazine, the Washington Post. I don't even know. All these publications were like, New Jersey housewife or something like that. Joanne Carducci, goes by the name JoJo from Jerz, posted this viral thread. And it went on for days. And it was the most cathartic thing. And my son was absolutely right. That was how I dealt with my anger, was to turn it into something that mocked him. And that's what, bullies hate. So that was the first time. And I was like, this is the weirdest feeling in the world. I'm like, all these people are talking about me. And it was cool. But it was, and again, it gave people also a place to put their angst, and their frustration too, and into something that's funny. So that was a long time ago. My gosh, very long time ago. I don't know what year that was. My God, but
That's amazing.
Yeah,
I love that.
2018 maybe.
Yeah, that's incredible. You mentioned your children obviously being kind of the thing that leads you and guides you through all of the fuckery that has happened over the last 10 years. So I have to ask, what is it like to have teenagers in this world today, and kind of experiencing all of this with them in real time, and all of these things that are happening? Like, I imagine that's a lot to not only explain to them and like have to teach them about, but I'm just curious, with everything that is going on globally, but specifically here, what is that like to have teenagers?
It's very interesting because I have a boy and a girl. My son is 16 and Abby's almost 13, and they're very different people, right? Abby, I call her my hurricane. She is just full of fire and passion, just to spit off my tongue. She's literally a mini me, which my dad, rest in peace, would say, "That's what you deserve, Joanne. You got what you deserve." She is just all fire, and my son is much more of a first child, but also he's the scales Libra, right? That's the scales. Mm-hmm. Yeah, very balanced, and he likes to keep things closer to the vest. And so he's an observer of things that I know he's aware. And he's very analytical. And so it's really interesting in the 24 election, his insights that he would sometimes offer up without me prompting him, but usually he doesn't want to talk about politics. He said, "Mom, I got to tell you, I get it." And I was like, "Oh God." He's like, I don't like him. I know who he is, but I get why my friends think he's cool. He's like, if you go to TikTok or if you go to Snapchat or if you go to Instagram, he's like, my feed is full of him with podcast bros and the martial arts guys, and he's dancing and he looks cool and he says tough things. And he's like, that's all my feed is full of, and I don't seek that out. He's like, so he offered this information to me, which I thought was really interesting and insightful and also terrifying. And we saw how that shaped out. It was not inaccurate, right? That had an impact. And every now and then he'll talk to me. He had a teacher last year in history, I won't name him, who made his politics very clear and not.
But like, just name him,
I don't know if I can. I'll just say
it's okay.
His last name is it's a type of beer. That's all I'll say. And I called the school several times, and the school dealt with it actually incredibly well, and it was rectified. But that guy made no secret of his politics. He would infuse Trump's name into every lesson. It was like, let's talk about Mesopotamia. And Donald Trump, by the way, is a great businessman. And I'm like, what the heck? But Leo would tell me about that stuff. And then he would get mad when I would say, I'm going to call the school. He said, please don't call by his own. But I did, and whatever. So he keeps it closer to the vest. But I know he's observing all of this. And he's particularly tuned into how this is influencing his friends. Because like the COVID denial was a big one with his baseball peers, which is also interesting. So he sees a lot of that manosphere stuff. Abby, on the other hand, Abby's very loud about her opinions, and increasingly
we
so.
We love a loud queen.
Oh my God. I'm like, oh Lord, buckle up, friends. I hope she's a benevolent ruler. That is all I will say. She has very, very strong responses to, she sees it on her feed. She sees it impacting me. She was really upset about, I'm just going to try and say this delicately. She was upset about how they whitewashed Charlie Kirk's legacy. She knew who he was. She knew the things he said. And then she didn't understand. She didn't cheer for his death. I certainly didn't model that either. And I will never, ever advocate for that, or for any violence of any kind. She was very sad and I think traumatized by the things that she saw. But what she really was outraged by was like, why did they create a new person? Like, why are they turning him into a saint? Why are our beloved Yankees having a memorial for him? She was very loud about that.
For a podcaster.
Right.
A white Christian nationalist podcaster.
Who trafficked in really terrible things and inspired a lot of hate and did a lot of damage to a lot of young people in this country, and then they continue to do that. And
specifically the things he espoused and proclaimed that women were meant for and should do.
Right.
So I can imagine as a young person and a young woman seeing that and going, now wait a minute.
Right. Yeah. And
smart girl.
And well,
smart girl indeed.
She's so smart, my God. But
we'll
what's
have her on
interesting,
the podcast next.
You should. Oh Lord, buckle up. Oh my God, make her bring all her good lip stuff. But she it's interesting too, because what I realized is that without even meaning to, what I've modeled for her from when she was very young. So my marriage ended in 2019, and it's 2025. She was, oh my God, I can't do math, but she's almost 13, so I don't know what the math is. What's the 2025 minus 29? 6 years, right? So she was really only like six. heaven. Sorry if you know this, you know, if you
We
know,
do.
you know, right? I couldn't, I can't. It's just, I can't wait till that goes away. But so most of her like cognizant adolescence has been spent watching me be a single mom, and she has more core memories of that than she does of me being married to her dad. And when we first separated, I had nothing, and I couldn't even afford to pay for a donut. You know, there was always no, I can't, no, we can't. I'm sorry, we can't. Let's go to the farm and feed the pigs, or let's go for a walk in the woods. Like those are all good things, but I couldn't afford to do anything. I was going to lose the house. They put the house up for sale. It was a whole thing. And then she watched her mom decide like no, that's not going to work, and be autonomous and independent. And like I've modeled that for her even by accident, so I'm not at all really surprised that she's ended up being this like powerful little hurricane that's gonna rule the world one day. But she's awesome, and they're very aware, like teenagers, even the kids who say they don't pay attention, this stuff, it impacts them, especially that manosphere stuff, especially the boys. Oh my god. They love the Tate guy.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah. All of my son's friends think he's like the coolest dude. Oh my God. Yeah. I know. Terrifying.
That is terrifying. I kind of want to ask about the potential of them getting red pilled, but I am more curious. I think, you say they're watching this and observing you, and you have built this online empire based on you and your persona and your jokes. But you also, you receive an insane amount of hate. Like I have seen some things in this world, and your replies on your Twitter feed are up there. And it's not funny. I think for those of us who live in this world, like who are online constantly, who have been sharing our opinions for a long time, we're used to it. And so you just kind of like, whatever those people. But you have 2 children and teenagers who also see those things. What does that feel like? What are those conversations like? How does that feel for them?
That's another thing too that we've had to navigate together. Where in the beginning, like scared them. I would try and insulate them and shield them as much as possible. Like in the beginning, they didn't look at any of my stuff, and I don't think that they do it very much now. Abby wants to see if her friends follow me. It's so weird, and their parents and stuff. It's like a girl thing. I don't, it's a tween thing. But we had to navigate that.
She's trying to suss out who's who.
I know. Well, that's true too. And one of her friends' parents came up to the house on Halloween, and they're like, "We love your Twitter." I'm like, "Thank you for clarifying that. I just need to know if you're on, the good guy side or not." But in the beginning, for all of us, it was terrifying, right? Like I was like, "Oh my God!" Like I got death threats. Often I had the person send me pictures of our house and call me and say they were on the way to my house after sending me. I didn't tell my kids that. They don't know that. They will not see this, but that they didn't like anytime they did see the hate that I got. But again, they've been shielded from it largely. But we had to navigate it together, where we all had to come to a collective understanding that they say things online. You know what I mean? That people say things from the safety of behind a screen, and that I am going to do everything in my power to protect all of us and make my house, a fortress, etc. The local police officers know who I am and what I do, and they know about the threats, etc. I've called the FBI, and in the past, when the FBI wasn't run by the guy who looks like he's smelling his farts all day long. But we've navigated that together, and it's still one of those things we don't often talk about, but I don't let any of that stuff bother me. I had an epiphany one day where I was like, oh my God, like, let me just hold on a minute. Like I had an abusive mother, left when I was 4. I've lost both my dad, and then my mother eventually died. I've been in an abusive marriage that I've come out of. I've been poor and destitute and really without anything and any prospects, and come out of it. And I was like, you know what? The last thing I'm going to do is let some dude in his mom's basement next to a bottle of Lubriderm, like, scare me out of saying what I need to say. Like, that's what they want. And so every now and then I like to punch them in the nose, and just makes me feel good when they spell "you're" wrong, like, or something, and then I'll just correct them. But I don't let it bother me anymore. I don't let them bother me when their physical attacks on my looks. And it's like, dude, you're here. You need to come and tell me that I'm ugly. So who's winning here, right? Like, my favorite thing is that they have a new crusade to not reply to people like me because it gives us engagement, and then the algorithm promotes us. And so they go into my replies and tell people not to reply. And I'm like, are we doing the math on this?
We're not dealing with the
The
brightest
math
crayons.
ain't math in there.
Just reply to those. And I'm like, and
Thanks.
yet here you.
Do you know how an algorithm works? Like,
Yes, I know these are some smooth brains folks we're dealing with here, but like I know that it's like put the glue down, friend. It's it's not a food group, but yeah. So I just I don't let that shit bother me anymore. But I have my wits about me too, and I'm not foolish enough to think that there would never be a crazy or a one-off or something like that. I mean, as we know, we do not live in a particularly safe world. Not that we ever have, but yeah, I don't let that stuff fester. It's in my subconscious, as my therapist will tell you, but I don't let it dictate what I do. I never will.
yeah, a lot of your start and what we have just referenced happens on the lovely app Twitter, where Kim Kardashian marks her bowel movements. So, something
no
we've been
shimmer thing.
seeing lately is how Grok AI is operating over on X, and how there are these insane AI images coming out of X, and how fuckwit Elon Musk is not planning to do anything about that,
No.
at least anytime soon,
Right.
if ever. And so I'm curious to know if that, like, if things like that show up for you in your feed, like how you think that impacts these people online who feel like they have so much power by, like, being a keyboard warrior, and if you worry about that at all as it relates to your kids, or like, I'm just curious about your thoughts on sort of like this AI presence that's now seeping its way into our social media platforms that are already kind of like a cesspool of fuckery to
Yeah.
begin with. So yeah.
It's so weird. It's so bizarre. I mean, usually, like, you can tell because 9 times out of 10 they make me make out with Trump, which is just so, again, telling on themselves. It's so weird. They've taken my pictures in the Oval Office with Joe Biden and swapped Joe Biden out for Donald Trump, and then they take my clothes off and like make me make out with Trump. It's like, guys, again,
Ew.
please just get a grip, right? It's these are not what well-adjusted people we're talking about. I wish that we had some guardrails on all of this. I obviously, on social media platforms, we don't. But what I've seen so far is that their usage of it is comical and, beyond parody. That is a slippery slope, obviously, because they've created mythology about me that's become canon now, where I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm a meth addict who is legally barred from even seeing my children, which is hysterical to me. But they even have a fake mugshot. Like, if you Googled like JoJo from Jerz mugshot, it's very sad. It's very tragic, actually. In the beginning, I used to push back because I was like, I have my kids all the time. I'm the full-time parent. What they did was, it's very sad. They took a woman's photograph. They were chronicling meth addicts. And so what they did was they took their first mugshot and then their fourth or fifth mugshot, and to show the degradation in their faces and their, everything. And so there's one woman, I don't know her name actually, they were doing that with, and they took her last picture before she passed away and superimposed my eyes into her face. And that's what they've created as my mugshot. And an entire mythology has been crafted around that, where if you go into my replies, I'd say 10% of every reply is like, that's why you can't see your kids, that's why you're a drug addict, that's why they actually truly matter. Truth be damned, you know what I mean? They'll also tell you that I am 500 pounds, and they'll put pictures of those everywhere. Not that when after I had my kids I was 238, so whatever, but they'll post pictures of me as this very grossly obese person, which is whatever, I don't care, but that is accepted as canon as well. So all of the things that you see on all the things I put out there are AI. They think I'm doing AI and filters and all that stuff. We're not dealing with the stable people here, but we're also not dealing with geniuses. But I would love very much for somebody to rein this stuff in, because at some point they're going to be able to create videos that people will believe, and it won't just be me taking my clothes off with Donald Trump in the Oval Office, which is just disgusting.
I think we've already seen the pathway toward that, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's so much that this administration puts out that is riddled with AI. And in fact, we had Dr. Jess on to talk about how AI and social media, how this administration is using it to project strength, the way that they create images for Donald Trump and the other people in the administration. But talking about like the fact that they are doing things to you and saying things about you that are twisting reality, creating new stories. I mean, that's the entirety of what this administration has been able to do over the course of the last decade, really. So Trump and everyone around him has just created alternate realities over and over and over again, to the point that the average American who's not dialed in truly may not know what to believe anymore. And one of the things that we have talked about ad nauseum on the left or with Democrats is this need to create a better messaging structure, messaging platforms for the truth, right? For our side, for people to better understand what progressive and left-leaning people and the Democrats aim to do and how they will impact their lives. And so you started here recently. I mean, you've had Are You Fucking Kidding Me? You have your Substack, you've got your Sane-ish podcast, and now you've got the Siren Network. Tell us and everyone a little bit about how you've brought all of these messaging things together to sort of combat some of the right-wing nonsense that's infiltrating our kids' phones.
It's so disproportionate and unbalanced. I mean, I've seen graphics. I've shared graphics where they have spheres, and blue spheres are left leaning and progressive, and red spheres are right leaning and MAGA, etc. And it's like there's all these red spheres and that are massive. There's Joe Rogan and Ben Shapiro and then Charlie Kirk and all, and then there's tiny little blue dots, like Midas Touch is like a little blue dot, and Midas Touch in our little corner of the world is rather big, and I'm like not even a tiny dot. And that is a big problem, right? That has an impact, especially as more and more Americans look to new media to get their news and information. There's a double-sided sword here, because you have to have responsible people giving out the information, and we've seen, bad actors on both sides of that equation. But when I was this siren idea came to me in August of 24, because I was like hearing from things from my son about the Donald Trump videos that he was seeing, and I was like, that's a problem. Where's the counter messaging? But also I was looking at whether or not we were going on offense and whether or not that was breaking through, because that weird thing, what Tim Walz was doing when he was calling them weird, that pierced the bubble. And I was like, that's the way, right? Like, that's how you can get through the non-political bubble. And of course someone decided not to do that anymore. But I was getting really frustrated because it seemed like the powers that be on the Democratic side were doing all this status quo stuff, like, let's do a hashtag, let's get it trending as a hashtag. And I'm like, who do you think? Oh my God, if I could tell you how much money was spent, my God, hundreds of millions of dollars went into the hands of consultants to push hashtags. And what does that change? Nothing. You're literally talking to this same people, and it moves the needle not at all. And I was like, we need more people. We don't need more hashtags. We don't need more trending topics. We need more bodies. We need more diverse faces, perspectives, ideologies. We need to hit those corners of the universe that this same consultancy class is like, those are low information voters. We'll never get them. Or they checked out. No, they just don't feel seen. And you're not making them feel seen with a hashtag. Like you're talking to the same people. And so I was getting really frustrated, and I was getting angry. And then I realized, well, if it doesn't exist, build it. Like, it doesn't exist. This infrastructure doesn't exist. Someone needs to make it exist, and why not me? So I looked around at my friends in the space, and a lot of my female friends that were not getting the interviews. They weren't getting the access. They weren't getting the airtime. They weren't getting the retweets, and it wasn't anything they were doing wrong. It was the powers that be decided. Some guy in an office was making millions of dollars deciding, oh no, let's give that interview to the same 4 white guys. Oh no, let's hear from the same.
Which white guys would you be referencing? I know.
One thing I'm very, very careful about is to keep my powder dry publicly. You know that, like, you know what I mean? Like, keep your friends close. You know, I know how to play that game. I've learned now how to play that game so that. Plus, I don't like circular firing squads. I just don't see the utility in it. I will, you know, I will vent all day long in a DM room. But you know, I'd really rather keep my fire aimed at the bad guys, but the really truly bad guys. And I was like, you know, we need more women. First of all, we need to uplift smaller accounts they're fantastic and doing good work, and they're just not breaking through because they have to come up against all of these people, these gatekeepers, and I think that that's unfair and unjust. And so I was like, well, again, I'm going to build that. And so I went to my friends who I know are in this for the right reasons, and I thought, well, maybe what I can do is be sort of this lifts all boats thing. Maybe I can help lift these smaller accounts with my reach, and if I help them and amplify them and encourage them, then hopefully that'll get them some more amplification, and then they'll be able to grow their audiences organically. And so that's what the Sirens origin story was, and I'm so proud because we have so many female creators. We don't just have female creators, we also have Harry Dunn. We're going to be adding somebody we all know very soon that I can't say out loud, but I'm very excited about. And we keep growing all the time, and it's just this diversity of perspectives and insight that I think is really crucial to making everybody out there feel seen and like it's stuff that they can engage with. And that's so important to me because that's how you reach more people, and that's what we need to do.
Yeah, I think that's how you give people hope too.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that Maggie and I have talked about and I ponder a lot is, you know, there's this concept of what a liberal is, right? Green hair, tattoos, nose ring, blue hair, you know, Starbucks worker, etc. And so we've discussed, like, it's almost super important for women who look like us, women who are, you know, traditionally right passing, Christian passing, whatever,
absolutely,
to be in these spaces because, you know, what was that trend? There was a trend on TikTok that was like liberal women or blue hair, blah, blah, blah. And I did it and I was like, literal Miss America here. Yeah. Not your
two
average.
Former beauty queens just hanging out, like ripping the right to filth.
I think it's so important, and I also think though that's why the vitriol is so aimed in your direction, because not only are you articulate and smart and willing to say whatever it is you want to say, but you're beautiful, and that they just can't stand. You can't be all of those things at once. They like combust when they're like, and she's pretty. That's also why Suzanne Lambert has blown up, you know? It's like they just can't handle it.
If I had $1 for every forehead comment I've gotten, I would be really filthy rich. I'm like, that's the best you have? I've lived with this forehead since I was a child. Like, what do you mean? Like, do something more fun. Come on.
But they do that because they figure more creative. Please think outside the box. But they do that because it's like they don't know what they don't have an argument, right? They don't have an argument, and it's driving them crazy, and they can't force us to fit into the neat little boxes and be quiet and quiet piggy and all that stuff. And my favorite thing they do is they're like, you hate men. I'm like, dude, I like sex more than the average bear. Don't. Okay? Like, if you saw my vibrator collection, okay, you'd be like, you know what, maybe that doesn't make the argument for not hating men, but
I was gonna say,
I have great vibrators and I hate men.
They're like, I'm like, really? Like, yes. Yeah, they do. And I think you're so right, Mallory. Like, they really want us to be, and look, it's a big tent, and there's tons of people who have blue hair and pink hair and tattoos, and they're
and I love many of them.
Exactly. Right. And that's the thing too, is that's how you make people feel seen, because you have a home here too. And nobody's telling you that you don't, because you want to live life differently. But they really just their brains, they're like, she doesn't want to have sex with me, so that must mean she doesn't want to have sex with all men. It's like, no, this is really a you problem. This is you. Yeah.
Right. Well, I think, we have kind of one final question for you, and then we would love to play a game if you're open to it.
Yes.
I think right now one of the hardest parts about living in America is that we sort of it's a constant flex of we have this hyper normalization of what's going on. People are making it seem like the everyday is just like this crazy shit that's happening is just the norm. And that's what we should just expect from, the next 3 years of this administration. So I'm curious if you feel like we'll ever kind of get back, whatever that means, to a sense of normalcy. And if you have any kind of hopes for 2026 in that regard. I think that's something that a lot of people are really wondering about, is when is this just going to be normal again? When will life feel like we're not constantly in a state of fight or flight?
Sometimes I think that we've crossed that Rubicon in many ways, right? Like good and bad. I have a friend named Kim Whaley. She's a constitutional scholar. You guys should have her on. I'll introduce you. She's amazing. And she and I talk about sometimes like things were moving in such a direction that it was eventually going to teeter off the edge of a cliff anyway, right? Like we weren't, in many ways we were moving more towards more justice, et cetera, but in many ways we weren't. And it was becoming so systemic and institutionalized and just the way things were, that something needed to come in and change and shake it up, right? And so that idea of like normal needed to sort of be, I don't want to say shattered, because that sounds destructive, but it's kind of where we are, right? And I think of this, it's going to sound so whatever, but there's this Asian pottery thing called kintsugi. I don't know if you guys know what this is. Okay, so you know what I'm talking about.
Is this the gold thing where you fill it in with the gold bits? Yeah,
right.
I love that.
So kintsugi they take the shattered pieces of a piece of pottery, and then they bind them back together into a new shape and a new form with gold or with another metal or with something strong and binding, and it ends up being a more beautiful thing from all of these fractured pieces, and often a stronger thing, right? And I don't want to look at what's happening to our country right now as an opportunity, because it's very dark and it's very scary, and there's so much pain and suffering that it breaks your heart every day. I don't want to think of that as an opportunity, but we're here. We're in the midst of it. And so what we choose to do out of this moment, I think, should be that we take those fractured pieces and we bind them back together with something stronger, so that it's a new shape of our choosing and our making that we do together. And I don't think that's going to be the normal we all know or knew, because we can't really reconcile some of the things that are happening right now in any rational way. These are scars now. This is trauma. And we have to heal that and then rebuild. So that's what I think is our future. And I think, again, what that brings me back to is something that I was saying earlier, is that the only way to do that truly is for us to do it together, as a community, as humanity, is for us to remember the things that we do have in common, the things that we are aligned on, and then to rebuild something that is more fair, more just, more inclusive, more sustainable, to be honest. So that's kind of my long-winded answer to that question.
Oh, it's a beautiful answer.
That's beautiful.
I love it too.
Yeah.
So thank you for all the work that you're doing. We are going to play a game, but I must let people know that I was introduced to you about a year ago, actually, right around this time, and we were all feeling so much despair from the election. So many of us were going, what is this all for? Like, the work that we've done feels for naught. How can people be so cruel? How can people choose this? And really, really feeling alone. And just being in your orbit this past year has been wonderful. And I think the thing that I want people to take away knowing about you is that you are when you say a rising tide lifts all boats, you have, maybe to your own detriment at times, I don't know. You've made yourself so available to other people and lifting up other creators, and really just being very supportive. You're such a girl's girl, a woman's woman. And I just think that that's really hard to find. especially in this space where it feels like so many people are trying so hard to compete with one another, even though all of us out there saying the same thing with large followings is actually the most helpful thing that we can do right now.
Yeah.
So thank you for all the work that you've done. I know
You made me cry.
I know that you have worked so hard, and I just want you to know that there are many of us who see it.
Well, now you're gonna make me cry. Thank you.
Don't cry. Don't cry. Now we're gonna play a game.
Okay.
You will not cry, maybe from laughing, hopefully.
Okay.
So the game, Joe, is called Fury or Fun.
Okay.
And does this make you furious, or do you think it's fun? And the first one is, this is hilarious because I don't know exactly how to say his name, but I know you're a huge Yankees fan. And so I was looking up like who's getting traded, who's coming to the Yankees. And apparently Bo Bichette?
I think it's Bichette.
Bo Bichette. He's on his way potentially to the Yankees. And I was just curious if you thought that was fun, or does that make you furious?
He's kind of hot, so I'm okay with it. I go to so many games. Please give me some eye candy. My God, please. I will take it. Okay, put him in pinstripes and let me look at his butt. I'm all right with that. So
that is my husband's a huge baseball fan, and I frankly could be fucked either way. Like, I don't really care. I grew up a Cubs fan, but like my grandma was a huge Cubs fan, but like whatever. I find it incredibly boring, and so, but I will tell you the best part about hitting up a baseball game is the pants. Those pants are great. I love.
Meanwhile,
those
I'm
pants.
like, the beer and the hot dogs, perfect.
Mallory's like, fuck men.
Yeah. I'm not even watching. I'm over here on my phone enjoying a hot dog.
Yeah. Put me behind that left fielder. I'm okay with that.
Somebody somewhere is going to make some terrible joke about me talking about hot dogs.
100%.
That gif of all the hot dogs falling.
Yeah.
Okay, next one on our list. Fury or Fun, return of the side part.
I'm a side part queen. My God, I will die with a side part.
You have to.
Side part, skinny jeans, and fake blonde. I will. You guys will. When, oh, God willing, I live a long life, a very long life. I'm 51. I will side part till I die. I can't rock a middle part anyway because I have a calic, and so it just doesn't. Like, it just
I love that
doesn't.
you're trying to do a middle part and you're still not even anywhere near the middle of your face.
My hair just doesn't. It doesn't. I cannot.
Do it.
No, my daughter
It's
is
like,
a
I'm
center
good
part
here.
girl, and she's always like, "Mom, you should rock a center part." I'm like, look, I cannot. No, I'm a side part till I die.
That is so
side part
funny.
stand.
You're
Yeah.
50 fucking one.
51. I'm gonna be 52 in June. Knock on wood.
Wow, you look
Are
fabulous.
you a June Cancer?
I'm a Gemini.
Or Gemini.
They would consider me cuss because it's the 17th, but I mean, I'm a Gemini through and through.
Yeah, that's Gemini. That's
I'm
Gemini.
all
Okay.
Gemini.
Next one. I know that you're in and out of the city, and so I'm curious if you are Fury or Fun, a Waymo driverless vehicle.
Oh no, thank you. No, I don't want that. My friends tease me because I'm like 900 years old in my spirit. Like I did that Spotify thing where they said your age, and I was 183, I think. Yeah, honestly,
I was 81, and I thought that was like.
Yeah, no, it's bad. So no, just put me in a taxi cab. I just want a taxi cab. I like talking to taxi drivers. It's a thing. I lived
You
in
like
New York.
holding on for dear life as you're like,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. I'm here for the Yankees game.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm very weird conservative in that way. Yeah. I don't think I've answered that question, but yeah.
I love when liberals talk about like the most conservative thing that they do. Like for me, I think it's eating Chick-fil-A is like the most
Absolutely.
conservative thing that I
Oh,
do.
my kids
Yeah.
love chick.
Mine is definitely noticing that someone different is in my neighborhood. And I don't mean different like a different color. I just mean literally, I'm like, who's that person?
Who's moving in?
Because our neighborhood, where everyone is so outside. Like, I know who lives in every house. So when someone's in our neighborhood, there's like a construction site behind our neighborhood where they're building more houses. And so there's people who come ride dirt bikes back there because there's mounds and mounds of dirt. So someone will ride through and I'm like, who's that? Who's
Yeah.
in our neighborhood?
Mhm.
Am I like a,
Incredible.
not a Karen, I'm a Sharon.
Oh.
Sharon.
Yes.
I'm like on my way.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. Okay, next one. Maggie, you got this one.
Next one. Your $10,000 monthly check from Soros.
Oh, yeah.
Is that
I get that every month on the 4th. It's how I afford all my meth.
But also how you afford all your food since you're obese.
Yes, that's right.
He's funding your food.
My
All right,
food.
last one. Dating past 50.
You
Isn't
guys
it
ever
fun?
go? You ever go to Target or Walmart or any grocery store.
We're
And they
not supposed to go to Target either,
That's
Joe.
right, Target's. I forgot. Amazon, Target's all canceled. Let's say Costco. I don't think Costco has these. But like at my grocery store, we have a Weiss here. I don't know if that's something they have in the South or anywhere else, but we have a Weiss. And Weiss by the bathrooms has this weird section that like all the stuff that is discounted, that's like totally random, that they keep slashing the prices, where it's like weirdly flavored jelly or like some novelty peep. It's like, do I really want hand lotion flavored peeps? I don't think so. But it's 12 cents. And so you're like, well, it's 12 cents. So this is men. This is men when you're trying to date them in your 50s now, because they've all been sitting on the shelf for a while, and they've been picked through, and nobody's wanted them, or the people have had them and put them down, and so they end up like in this section where you're like, do I want to take a chance? It's really not that much money. But it's also, it could be an adventure.
I get sick?
Right.
Like, get sick from it.
It could make me sick. It could scar me for life. I don't know, but it's sitting somewhere like the end cap, where it's been, people pass by and they'll pick it up and they're like, consider it. And then you're like, you know what? Why not? And then you end up on a second date with someone who calls you and says, I shit my pants on the way home. I wanted you to know that. Like, that's what happens, because you found him on the end cap. You thought you'd take a chance, and then you have Thai dinner, and it goes the wrong way for him. And somehow he tells you that because he wants you to know everything, that he needs to tell you shit his pants. And then he got home and he put it in a bag and he put it on his porch. And then a week later, he wanted you to know it's still on his porch. That's what happens.
God.
Oh, that's not even my
like,
weirdest.
So you're solidifying that if anything were to ever happen, we're all just gonna buy a home together.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And just leave the end cap alone.
Like I'm bringing my vibrators. Okay, that's all I'm saying.
Oh my God.
That's not even the weirdest date story I had. Oh boy, that's a whole other podcast.
Yeah, we're gonna have to have you back to run through
Part
your
2.
dating life.
The guy who midway through dinner said his sister was his best friend and couldn't wait for her to move in with him, and then decided to tell me how his sister murdered her husband, and it was on Dateline NBC. And it was a murder mystery dinner theater hotel. She burned a hotel down. Yeah, and then he showed me the Dateline NBC piece about his sister, who he said was his best friend. And when she gets out of prison, she's going to move in his house. And I went into tunnel vision as I was like, where did I park? Where did I park? Where did I park? Where did I park? And then he texted me. He's like, did I make things weird? I'm like, no.
No, you're good, man.
Yep, it's good. This is all good.
Not weird at all.
Shit.
No.
End cap. End cap.
God.
End cap.
End cap.
That is hilarious.
Leave them there.
End cap.
Okay, last but not least, Joe, you can't be pretty furious without being pretty first, which we've already established you very much are.
Oh.
So, what product do you have for our listeners as a final leave behind?
I'm so excited for this hack, okay? Because whatever, I don't care. Like whatever it takes, friends, make yourself happy. And I am on camera a lot, and I was looking at myself on camera a couple years ago, and we all do that. We hyperanalyze ourselves, and I was like, my eyelashes just don't look whatever. And I was like, I'm older, eyelashes to kind of pop, and I see all these celebrities, and they all have the lashes, and on the news they have the lashes, and so I went and got the lash extensions, and then I realized, oh my God, they basically, my lashes are gone. My actual eyelashes are gone. Friends, cautionary, do not do it. Don't overpluck your eyebrows. Don't do it. Don't do it. I'm sorry. I did it, and then you have to keep doing it because you don't have any eyelashes left, and it's a vicious cycle, and it's very expensive. It's like $125 every 2 weeks, and it takes hours, and don't do it. Don't, friends, don't do it.
You look like Yzma from Emperor's New Groove. It's terrible.
And that's the thing too.
Yeah,
is
it's
if you don't
awful.
find if you don't find a good one, you end up looking at spiders on your face. Right. So full disclosure, I don't think that what I have on looks like egregiously lashy. So I didn't want to spend them. I didn't want to destroy my lashes anymore. So I take biotin now and all of this stuff. And I found on Amazon, there's so many different brands. This one, I don't know what it's called. I have no idea what that's called. It doesn't matter because they're all the same. So you go and you look for self-adhesive lash extensions, right? And they come, there's many different variety kits. And this is one of the bigger variety kits. And they send them with the tweezers and everything, and you can just pop one. They have all different lengths. You can pop one on the corner and fuse it in with your mascara or whatever, and it just gives you that little extra a punch or poof or whatever you want to call it, and you can go really big and dramatic, or you can go really small. You can do a whole eye. I only do the corners. That's just the way I like it. And then my eyelashes have been growing underneath because they don't damage your lashes. You take them off at the end of the night. You can reuse them if you want. This is $9, and I just think versus $125 every 2 weeks destroying your lashes, do this instead. And
a frugal and protective queen,
right?
A protective style for your lashes, if you will.
A big believer in the lash trios. Like, I think that those look so much better than like the strip lashes. And yeah, so I'm a trio gal myself, and I
totally agree with you. Yeah, and you don't have to fuss with the glue and all the I was doing the magnetic thing, and it was messy. And these puppies pop right under your regular lashes, and game over.
Yep,
game
over.
Amazing.
Yeah. That's my tip.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, feel free to contact me and brand list name thing.
As you're like, I don't know what this brand is. I can't say this. I don't know. They're all the same.
They're all the same. Yeah.
Right.
Nothing like an endorsement, like saying they're all the same.
They're all the same. This one's not special at all.
It's not special at all. It's as good as the rest of them, and probably a little more expensive. So I'm just kidding. It's not.
I love it. Jo, thanks so much for joining us. This has been super fun.
It
is tough to be a woman in the world right now. Everything feels dark and heavy. And you know what? Sometimes it's okay to just be pretty furious.
I 100% agree with you. This was so much fun. Thank you guys so much for having me on.
Thanks for being here.